2016 Lexus GSF. I'm not sure where the previous video cut off, but it was in the middle of discussing how different and more visceral the GSF is than some of the latest super sedans, the four-door supercars like the M5, E63, and Cadillac CTS-V. So this GSF has found itself as one of the only rear-drive, naturally aspirated four-door supercars on the market, which is very, very special for Lexus. Part of their entire product renaissance with the RCF donating its drivetrain and active differential to this GSF, and also much of its powertrain to the upcoming LC500. So the GSF is amazing and is a high-speed beast, but it really, that standard torque vectoring differential speaks to its mission a little bit as more of a corner carver and a handling-focused vehicle versus a pure, you know, drag strip king. And that's a good thing because, like we said, the GSF is down on power, 467 versus 550 plus for all of its rivals, and up to 640 for the Cadillac CTS-V. So that's 467 is down pretty significantly versus those rivals, and there is a consequence for that. The consequence is sheer launch pace. So we've got 4.5 seconds as the official sprint time from Lexus for this GSF, and that makes sense. We've only got 389 horsepower, or excuse me, 389 foot-pounds of torque, up at like 4,800 RPM perhaps, which is pretty high up versus the massive torque dumps that come from the Cadillac CTS-V's supercharged V8, not to mention the Mercedes AMG E63, which is, you know, a launch champ. I mean, that car is like launches off the line with the ferocity of a GTR. It really is sublime in its speed, just sheer raw brutal power. But you know, but you lose some of the purity of having rear drive and having natural aspiration. So Lexus sort of goes back to the basics in its big first attack on the super sedan elite, and I think they've carved a very, very unique niche for themselves. I love the way the GSF drives. It's so visceral and really involving and heavy, like a purist sports special. I say heavy in terms of like the inputs, like brake, steering, and overall level of control, versus not for the chassis. Because with this torque vectoring differential, you really, it's like a fun button. You've got 3 settings here. You've got standard. In addition to eco, normal, sport, and sport sharp, we've got the torque vectoring diff in its normal track, which really tightens it up for approaching corners and putting power down coming out. And then slalom, which is like the play setting for when you want to play. And slalom really varies the torque split for those back wheels pretty dramatically. So GSF is really fun. I mean, it drives so amazingly well, and is just an amazing range topper for the GS lineup in 2016. So let's move on to oh, sweet, still recording. That's good, it didn't cut out. Okay, so GSF for 2016 caps a 9 model GS lineup. So 9 GSs, you say? How is that possible? Well, in addition to going big with this giant 5-liter V8 as the top engine, Lexus is also introducing the first ever GS200T, which is a turbocharged 4-cylinder that is available for the first time, and still does pretty well. It has like a 7-second sprint to 60 miles an hour. Has sport modes that are fun, good torque. I've driven that engine in the NX200T, and it's great. It's very responsive and playful. So that's terrific. And then that's the entry level, and then we have GS350 that comes in rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive with or without F Sport guises, and then up to and I should say the GS200T now kicks off the range for Lexus. The GS price. Sorry, let me start again. The GS200T has now the lowest GS price, of course, for its smallest engine, and that is just about $45,000 or $46,000 as the entry level total, which is stellar for the updated tech style and still really outstanding drive maneuvers, cabin room, and all the stuff that the GS brings to the table. So that $45,000 base price can extend up to, you know, the mid-50s for various GS350 F Sport all-wheel drives that are very popular as a little bit of a sweet spot. And then you have the GS450H, which is the hybrid and is available with F Sport trim for 2016 as well. So those GS. So, oh, this is one thing this transmission does so well, is if you come off the throttle, there's no like lagging or hiccuping where it's sort of like churning and doesn't know what to do with itself. It's sort of like on throttle, off throttle. It's totally chill. So that's one of the things that's awesome about this direct shift automatic with 8 gears from Lexus. So those F Sport GS450Hs come in with a sticker price in the mid 60s, like up to like $68,000. So that's obviously much higher than the $45,000 base, and just slightly below the $84,000 base of the GSF, and it's 467 horsepower. So this GSF comes in with a base of $84,000 and has almost everything included as standard. Including the torque vectoring differential, carbon goodies everywhere, giant 19-inch wheels, and a variety of mechanical and functional improvements to the base vehicle. So from that $84,000, our test car has Mark Levinson 800 plus watt audio system for $1,700 and is out the door at like $86,500. So that's a lot of money for the GS, you might be saying, but you know, this GSF is serving as much as a halo as it is, you know, an answer to the prayers of Lexus fans and people who want really that sort of M5 level of power, street presence, and you know, just commuter badassitude. You know, who want that but haven't been able to get that from Lexus previously. I mean, until now, the wildest GS has been, you know, perhaps that original GSF, or excuse me, GS400, which was like, you know, something wicked this way comes, was a very memorable ad campaign for that vehicle. And you know, really, this GSF is honestly like, it's so far beyond wicked that they've done a fabulous job evolving this car from its original launch in 1993. So that car, of course, ran a straight 6 engine, and the first GS was designed by Giugiaro in Italy. Right. So right here, that's a good way to highlight like one of the things I don't love about the GS. It doesn't do very well on like botched launches. Like if you're like a, you know, talentless hack, not pointing any fingers, but like, you know, for this, like this is how you would normally launch a car. You tap or hold the brake like just slightly. That was pretty good, actually. So you have to do a very, very ultra light brake torque launch, because if you do sort of really have both feet down hard, like you might want to be doing a serious launch, the Lexus GSF gets a little bit flummoxed in the same way that the RCF does, actually. It just doesn't have an amazing ability to bounce back from like a bad launch. So like, let me try to demonstrate this. So like that was a bad one, right? And then all of a sudden we're like in second gear or something, and then it has to downshift again to really get going. So that is like not terrific. I mean, it's definitely not something that would really bug you driving this monster supercar every day, because it's so powerful, and how often are you really like, you know, trying to do those types of yabo antics, but you know, it is somewhere where the E63 in particular really is just sort of like totally idiot proof in getting 3.5 second launches all day long, even as a wagon. So this GS is not really as easy to launch in that way, but on it, and even with its perfect launch, you know, it's delivering about 4.5 second runs to 60 miles an hour, which is terrifically fast and so fun and emotive and exciting. But it really is just not purely as fast as those other vehicles. Bottom line, at least from the from a 0 to 60 sprint perspective. But the flip side of that, on a track, those cars have nothing on the GS. This GS will be just as fun, and I would wager as fast as the M5. Period. I think that was a clear benchmark for this vehicle. You can really get a sense of that while you're driving it, and looking over the spec sheet as well. So what's different on the GS to justify it's at least 20 grand premium over the GS 450h hybrid, and close to 40 grand premium over the base Turbo 4 in the GS for 2016. So a ton of stuff virtually. So the styling is all new for 2016, and this GS wears the best of the lot, which is carbon fiber, a real exposed weave carbon fiber up front for a lower splitter and in back, so you have that awesome carbon fiber. You've got like a black chrome continuing on the outside, black chrome finishes for the grille and window surrounds that are really, really dark and menacing. Gloss black inner Elfiness style spindle grille that is seriously menacing on the road. Gorgeous built-in DRLs that are freestanding below the new ultra slim LED headlight units. So those will be optional on most of the GSs, but are standard on the GSF. And these headlights are they're beautiful and provide terrific light. I even like them better than the new LEDs like on the Jaguar XF, for example, because as well as liking them better than sort of like the Audi, Bugatti style look of the multi units. I like it because there are three really distinct sort of like sharp eyes in focus on either corner of the Lexus's nose. So it looks awesome all the time, and you have a real sense of where the actual light unit is and how the lenses work. So those little triple LEDs on each side actually form like little L's or little like check marks, whatever you want to call them, for the low beams, and then when the high beams come on, the other part of the square illuminates and really makes terrific light and a beautiful statement on the road. So that's awesome. We've also got a huge 19-inch gloss black polished alloy spider spoke wheels that are amazing. Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires that are seriously like semi-slicks. They are amazing. They pick up like every little pebble on the road and have outstanding grip, very respectable ride comfort, and very little highway noise. So that stuff is all terrific. And then you get under the skin. So under the skin, in addition to this all-new engine shared with the RCF, making the 5-liter quad cam V8 like we mentioned, with chain-driven VVTi and all that stuff. 467 horsepower is the number to live by, and it really is so amazingly expressive. By having an active air intake, we've been in Sport Plus this whole time, but that active air intake and active sonics out back, based on quieter and normal and louder in Sport Plus, is really just it's a terrific power plant. It's really, really fun and sounds exciting, and it makes you want to rev it all the time as much as possible, which, you know, it's very easy to oblige. I think the transmission is not one of its strongest points. It is very, very good, but it's less exceptional than the ZF 8-speed automatic we sampled in the Jaguar F-Type R, for example, as well as that same unit in many vehicles from BMW, Mercedes, Aston Martin. I mean, everybody's using that ZF. But the cheapest thing you can get it in is likely the Dodge Charger with rear-wheel drive. So that transmission is just like a little better than this 8-speed unit, which is, I think, internal to Lexus. It's a great transmission. It just needs better, faster logic, yeah, I think that, and perhaps more gears. And I think Lexus is in agreement because the upcoming LC500 will have more gears. I think 9 or 10-speed automatic. So that's really, really good. And then in terms of the grip package, the GSF has a dramatically upgraded suspension. So we have forged all aluminum double wishbones in front and multi-link in back. But the fact that the actual suspension control arms and that stuff are all forged, made of aluminum, means it's super light and has just fantastic, almost no unsprung mass that can make sort of wheels feel crashy or can disturb the car on tracks over bumps and stuff like that. And on the street, the results are just an amazing handling purity, a great sense of chassis rigidity, especially around back. I think they may have added some structural bracing to the GSF, or perhaps all GSs for 2016, and it really feels better for it. then of course you've got this this torque vectoring differential in back, which is one of the most transformative technologies for a high performance 4-door supercar, you know, out there, because and it's controllable. You know, you can have the TVD in just track regular mode, and the car just drives like, you know, like a total supercar all the time. Or maybe not a supercar, just maybe like a muscle car is more accurate. But then you flip it to track, and it really hunkers down, feels a lot tighter back there, a lot more controlled, and it's not going to let the car get wayward, even, you know, in max attack situations. And then you've got your slalom mode, which is just an absolute delight. I think we call it the fun mode at the beginning of this video, and it really is. It really makes the whole car feel light, super nimble, super chuckable, and has a lot of the great effects that 4-wheel steering would have. But it's a purely mechanical system. It's not electronic. It's not burning the brakes, which are high performance 14.9 inch Brembos all around, but 14.9 in the front, 13.5 inches in the back, which and I think they're cross drilled, or I think they're grooved, so they're very, very high performance with a sport compound. I mean, you really on the track, this car inspires a ton of confidence, and it also does on the road, where it feels like a sports car should. I forgot what we were talking about. But basically, you know, having that diff is really transformative and makes a big difference coming as standard on the GSF in how playful the vehicle is. It's extra important because with all of that big room, with the extra 4-door, or with the extra 2 doors in back, and about, you know, 400 pounds or so over the, maybe like 200 pounds over the RCF in terms of actual curb weight, you've got, you know, this GSF needed help trying to feel as playful as possible with that giant engine. And I think with the super lightweight suspension, gas monotube shocks all around, and semi-slick tires, as well as this diff, they've really accomplished that extremely well. It rides low and mean, and has, you know, a very calm actual highway ride and refinement, as you can see right now. But at the flip of a button, and actually, you know, dynamically controlling itself, when it senses that like the game is on, this car is totally DTF, GSF, something wicked. This way goes. The car is so fast, so fun. It's an amazing vehicle. This will be a pretty rare sight on the roads, and but people who know cars really notice it. They notice the giant fender intake with huge mesh reverse vents, as well as the wild and really expressive lower sills, rear front. You know, obviously all new nose with deep carbon splitter, like we mentioned, and that tail with quad stacked exhaust units. It really looks awesome. I'm loving the car. We'll see you guys next time. This is Tom Burkhardt in the 2016 Lexus GSF.